We're back again with the Synergy Podcast. Welcome. We're going to talk about some code book and some other fun stuff today, but welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, happy to be here. One topic me and Nate wanted to cover is kind of a educate the client basis because there's a lot of misconceptions about the electrical industry out there. So one thing is, how come I can have 2 or 3 different contractors come out and I can get different prices from each contractor? Is everybody just a crook, or what's going on there?
Well, you can look at this book right here. What'd you say, 1,900 pages?
It's 1,900 pages.
There's 1,900 pages in here of literally what we can't do. And there's a million things that we can do. So there's a lot of options for what electricians can do that are legitimate. You can have a 90-cent receptacle or a $15 GFI upwards to a $40 USB GFI with a LED light in it.
True story.
And so, I mean, there's just a lot of recipes in how the end result can be created depending on what you're selling or what the client is wanting.
For sure. I've often wondered, I mean, this code book is 1,900 pages of everything we can't do, and it's written in blood. So generally every single code that's in here has been driven by, for the most part, an accident, somebody getting hurt, somebody getting killed, some type of misfortune. So they give us this direction of saying, these are all the things you can't do, but there's no guideline that says this is the best way to install this application. So even just as something as simple as Nate was talking about, an outlet, you have a whole bunch of different outlets, which change the pricing. You have a whole bunch of different ways you can wire that, because this code book just says you can't do it this way, but it doesn't say this is the best practical application for what you're trying to achieve as far as efficiency of labor, efficiency of product. And that's a lot of times what drives that pricing.
Yeah, it is largely what drives the pricing, just because everybody has a different way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And there's
like you talked
a million
about,
ways to skin a cat.
You look at, say we'll pick 3 items so that every consumer knows, right? You have an outlet that's in the wall. You can have a standard outlet that, say, it's $1 or $2. And then you can go to a GFI outlet that has the reset button on it that's required at your kitchens and your bathrooms and outside. And that can be like $15. But then you also have that outlet, if it does go outside, it needs to be weather resistant. So that's $5 more. And if it's a newer house that is a new code change that requires tamper-resistant outlets, that's another $5 or so, or a few dollars. So you can have a regular outlet that's a couple bucks, or you can have a weather-resistant, tamper-proof GFI outlet that's upwards of $40, give or take. And
with in-use cover, which adds another $15 to it.
Yeah.
So,
and but if you're just to look at it, it looks the same. It's like a phone's a phone, but we all know that there are many different prices of phones. So you have that with outlets. You have the same thing with switches. You have a regular wall switch. You have different styles, different cover plates, but the result's the same. You touch a switch, the light comes on, but it could be anywhere from a few dollars with its cover plate up to hundreds of dollars with its cover plate, and it performs the same function.
Well, and in that instance, you can have a GFI breaker instead of the receptacle, and then that adds another $20 to it, because the breaker's more $45 versus a $16 breaker. So,
and we deal with a large clientele in a lot of different areas. And a lot of them have second homes, right? And so they'll say, well, this doesn't cost me that much in Arizona, or this doesn't cost me this much in Utah. And there's multiple factors that play into that. One is each state. So this is a national code book that is adopted by the nation, but then each state has certain requirements they want you to meet. Each local county has certain requirements they want you to meet. So the price for us to do something, say, inside the town of Jackson Hole is a different price than it is to do something in Teton County, even though they're in the same valley, because they have different requirements by the electrical inspectors. You take that and compound it with labor rates. Like, say, we run into this quite a bit. I hear this quite a bit. This doesn't cost me near as much in Arizona. Well, the labor rates in Arizona are much lower because the state of Arizona doesn't require their electricians to go to school. They have like I don't know. You can Google, I'm sure I'll have some Google warriors out there, but I think it's a couple years and they end up with like a residential license or something, but they don't have to go to school.
Yeah, they don't
And
have. They're not as stringent on their
yep. And so
electricians.
by that, it's much easier to become an electrician. So there's much more of them. There's much more people. And so the labor rates are significantly cheaper in Arizona. And we know that too, because like if a guy comes to me from California, from I think Washington was one for a while, New York, from Arizona, these major cities, somehow these major states that have a lot of population aren't requiring electrical schooling and their license isn't valid here.
Yeah.
So I've had people move from Washington that have 5 years of experience and are a journeyman electrician in Washington. And when they move to Idaho, they're essentially a first-year electrician until they go through the schooling process or challenge the state and test out somehow.
Yeah.
But we've ran into it time and time again from California, from Arizona. So that affects pricing as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a big deal, really. Those electricians with the experience. So all our guys are having to go through school. They've got to have that experience, and that costs money.
Yeah.
Not only just to put them through school and to learn what they got to learn, but I mean, we got to face the fact that we're in a world where nobody wants to do manual labor. And so in order to get somebody to come to work, I mean, it just costs money. So there's a lot of factors to this
You're
whole
talking about
picture.
We live in a world where nobody wants to do manual labor. I was just reading a book called Tycoons, and it's going over all the American, the business tycoons of the era. And the whole industrial revolution was kicked off because they didn't have enough skilled labor for machinists. And so they were trying to create machines to replace manual labor. And it just had me thinking, like, man, we're dealing with the same problem 150 years later.
We are. 100%.
Yeah. So what that means for our local area is we have, I feel, higher educated electricians. A lot of that is on-job training, but because the state requires this schooling and requires the continuing education, every 3 years we have to re-up our licenses too. So we have to do 20-something hours.
Well, not anymore.
Not in Idaho, but we do in Wyoming, Montana, and Utah.
Well,
so
yeah, the other states we have to. Idaho changed their laws that way, but yeah, you're right. Well, and we dealing with the stuff that we have in our area. I don't want to say, I don't want to talk trash on other states, but we have different standards. We have a lot of out-of-state municipalities that have what we call 3 or 4 hatted inspectors. And so a lot of times that inspector is not even an electrician.
That's true.
Who's inspecting electrical work. So for instance, we'll have a new builder come from out of state, and they'll ask us why our pricing might be higher. And I'm like, well, just because it is, and these are the standards, and that's what it takes.
Yeah.
We'll get into the process, and they'll come to us and say, well, our electricians don't do that in this state. I'm like, well, we have to in this state.
We don't have a choice.
So because of the codes that we've accepted, the way that the inspectors want to see it. So there's a lot of that, I mean, it's just being factual.
Yeah.
Not talking trash on anybody else, but that's just standards that we have to live to, which we like, though, because we want to have a better product.
A good, safe product. Yeah, that's what the inspectors are there for.
And even with our own teams, I always tell our guys that we wouldn't drop to that level anyways, just because we want to know that when we are done with our product, that we know that we did it right and that we won't have to go back.
Yeah.
And that it's safe for the customer and the homeowner.
Well, we have some good electrical inspectors that do a very thorough job. We just had a final electrical inspection in Jackson Hole yesterday, and they sent 2 electrical inspectors, and they were with my crew the whole entire day to do a final electrical inspection on that house. They're very thorough, which you can look at 2 ways. You can either get frustrated that they're so thorough, or you can be grateful that they're so thorough that they're covering you, they're protecting you. There's a layer of liability there where they're saying, yep, the state has put eyes on it, and what you have done is good quality work. And when you do good work and you're not trying to cut corners, I really appreciate a good, thorough inspector, because you can just be like, yep, here it is. This is what we do. This is how we roll. And you get a reputation with those inspectors too, where they know what to expect of you.
Yeah.
And you build a rapport with them. So
builds a rapport with them. And also, I mean, it's always good to see what you need to improve on yourself, right?
For sure.
You know, I mean,
I tell these young journeymen, you learn a lot by failing electrical inspections.
100%. That's probably where I've learned most of my lessons is from failing an inspection.
Yep.
As bad as it sucks to fail the inspection, you still learn, get to understand the code, and we become better electricians.
Yep.
The guys become better at what they do.
Yeah, it's very, I mean, if you really ran it right down, it's pretty hard. I mean, with 1,900 pages, if you look at the fine print on this thing, I don't know if you can. It is.
I don't have my glasses. I can't see it.
Right. And this is just the one without pictures. The one with pictures is like that thick, which is the one I like because it's got a little picture book in there. It shows you like, hey, this is what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's the one I have to use.
Yeah, mark it up with my crayons.